I'm sure that this is a story that we are all familiar with, whether it be from watching Jack Black in the Hollywood rendition or actually reading the book. This book is split up into 4 parts, each separated by the 4 different journeys. Gulliver's first voyage ends up taking him to the land of the Lilliputians. The Lilliputians are the pettiest and most unpleasant, yet tiniest of all the characters met through Gulliver's travels. These characters symbolize the excessive pride that mankind has. It is a truly interesting take on how we can view ourselves. These tiny creatures that may as well be the size of ants seem to have a pride so uncharacteristically big. They seem to think of themselves as these grand creatures. Even when they face Gulliver for the first time, who was as big as a giant to them, they fail to back down and instead decide to capture him. It seems to me that the Lilliputians overestimate themselves and they believe that they are more powerful than they actually are. This seems to be Swift's commentary on human nature. He seems to believe that our pride is truly an unnecessary and foolish characteristic to have. It also seems that Swift is making fun of Gulliver for being naive enough to be captured by such small creatures. The second journey is about Gulliver's travels to Brobdingnag, the land of the giants. Brobdingnagians seem to symbolize the personal and physical side of humans, examined in close detail. Gulliver was forced to look at the lives of the Brobdingnagians under a microscope due to the difference in size between the two. During his other voyages, or even back home in England, it was almost impossible for Gulliver to be included in the private affairs because he is considered an outsider. But in Brobdingnag, Gulliver has no choice but to be included in the personal aspects of their culture. Through this, Swift is able to focus on the aspects of society that are ignored on a day-to-day basis, the aspects that seem too irrelevant to even think about. This shows that anything that is observed closely seems to have many flaws. It shows that a utopian society is almost impossible to achieve. From afar, anything can look perfect, but once you delve into it, the imperfections seem to become much more evident. On his third journey, Gulliver encounters the Laputans, the theoreticians of the book. They symbolize the insignificant knowledge that seems to have little to no impact on the real world. Swift seems to criticize society's desires to spend so much time theorizing. He deems it as irrelevant and believes that time could be better spent elsewhere. This is shown through the characterization of famous historical figures such as Julius Caesar, who is not as charismatic as when read about through books. The characters seem to be too focused on intellectual experimentations that they cannot seem to find practical uses for their theories. Swift clearly believes that theoretical knowledge has shown to be of no help in improving mankind and therefore useless. During his fourth and final voyage, Gulliver meets the Houyhnhnms. They represent the ideal way of existence. They are rational and they appeal to reason over religion. They seem to have the most moral way of living out of all the characters presented in the book. Gulliver seems so in awe of them and is devastated when he is banished by them. Yet one oddity about the Houyhnhnms is that none of them have a name or a personality that separates one individual from another. Yet Gulliver can seem to so readily look past this fact. I think that this is due to Gulliver's isolation from society. He doesn't show any personal relationships with anyone, which could be the reason why he views everyone in the same way. This could explain why Gulliver does not seem to mind becoming indistinguishable. Swift also seemed to make a point that the most rational of the characters were the Houyhnhnms, who happened to be the only non-human characters in the story. I believe that Swift is making a commentary by mocking mankind and saying that these horse-like creatures are more reasonable than us.